Everything you want to know about BePro.
Let's get into it.
So today, guys, we have had the privilege of catching up with CEO Rui from BePro. This is a fantastic opportunity. We're able to ask, all of those questions that have been burning the community around BePro. As we get into this video, guys, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. Of course, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with everything we do here, it is free. You'll stay well informed. So why not subscribe? Chris, is there anything else that you would like to add before we jump on over and catch up with Rui from BePro?
Yeah, let us know what your thoughts and opinions are on this project. Where do you think we're going to be price-wise at the peak of the bull run? Really interested to know.
Fantastic. Hi and welcome to Cheeky Crypto. It's great to have you join us this evening and to talk everything BePro. To kickstart everything, could you tell us about yourself and how you came to start, BePro?
So basically, thanks for having me here at Start. I think this is a very good channel in terms of information to give into the community. And I mean, when we talked about this, I thought it was a very good idea. And when talking about technology and where this is going about Web3, I think there's a lot more information that should be there, and it's not. So everything that has to do with that, I'm in. Talking about me and the project, I'm Rui. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BePro Network. We started this project 3-4 years ago in terms of idea. The goal back in the time was to create a code marketplace, basically a code service for betting and for everything that had to do with social betting, fantasy sports, etc. And our first goal was to create a framework. Back at the time, there was Wager, there was 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, all these frameworks that were showing up. Also, there was Gnosis, Augur, and we were looking at let's try to create something that isn't on the market, and let's try to create something that legacy players could use. Because even at the time, we talked with for example, people at BetClick, some companies that already had systems in the market, and trying to understand if blockchain was of any use case or not for them. We early understood that it was very difficult by using Ethereum or any other blockchains to do something at the time, 2018, to do something that would be relevant. I mean, the closest and the cheapest we had was EOS, but with 12 and 13 validators, it would be difficult to decentralize that. And now we're seeing some ramifications of it. And the idea was, okay, let's try to get the customers to try to see the market, try to get an overview like any startup should and would have to do, and try to understand where we should position ourselves. And that was the beginning of 2018. We then understood that what we want to do is build on smart contracts for Ethereum, building diverse infrastructures, not only for the social betting side, but also into some stuff that right now and today is BePro Network, which is DeFi infrastructure, ERC20 tokens, lock infrastructures, everything that has to do with also prediction markets, as a Polka markets of an example, Leprechaun. So we started understanding, okay, our clients want more of the decentralized infrastructure and the decentralized tech. So let's focus on that. Finally, we got product market fit. And that's when we started integrating really what the BePro token is and when we want to make it for the rest of the years, which is basically an infrastructure for developers by developers, where it's basically an open source framework. But BePro is the use of what will be the next feature, what will be the next company focus, and what should be the direction of the decentralized technology in that case.
That sounds fantastic. And what are some of the use cases? Obviously, you mentioned betting platforms and that side of things, but are there any other use cases that you're utilizing or look to utilize in the future?
So currently, what we're focusing more it's on the DeFi side. I mean, we have built some betting infrastructure and was used by some clients as BitStocks, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 and others, where basically was code as a service as it is today. Like we have a big amount of code available on GitHub, and we basically have a full-fledged 𝗕𝗪𝗠𝗠𝗘𝗡𝗧𝗦 on everything was able to do, and they could get their system up in a matter of one day, for example, for social betting. And the idea there was to make it easy for people to use. For DeFi, and as we have today, it's even easier. I mean, right now we already have our GitHub and our READMEs very well set up. We have over 10 people right now, I would say, for this week, already working on that. Like developers from the community working on that. They've been outstanding, the work that they have been doing.
Yeah.
And our goal is to make the more code available, a little bit of what Gnosis has been doing, Gitcoin. But I think what they try to do is very centralized. It's like what we do, and this is now our standard, and you guys can now use it. Our idea at BePro Network is, okay, if you have amazing developers on the community, why just build ourselves? We're a team of 5. Let's give to the community that power to develop these features. And then if they're good, they'll be accepted by the validators on the network, the people that hold BePro on the interface that will be launched mid this year. And if they're not, I mean, we'll be giving a framework and some guidelines for them to update the code and give some proper techniques.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Yeah. And the ability to be able to deploy in a day like that is something that we're starting to see a bit with a couple other projects, but obviously it's crucial to getting that adoption, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think, and one of the issues that we started facing is gathering very good quality developers. It's something that it's hard because developers right now in today's age, they're really for reputation. And one of the things that, I mean, if you look, and even YouTubers on the development ecosystem, they're very focused on the IP and very focused on credit. And credit due for developers, and it's something that they care a lot. It's way more than money. Normally people from this space, and even myself, I think that the reputation is something that's more valuable than capital. And what we want to provide here is a little bit of that. It's like if you create a decentralized marketplace for developers, and if you let them create their own reputation on it, it will be amazing for developers at universities, at college, and even people that are working in big companies like Microsoft. We have 2 developers that are working in big companies in the US, and they're doing some work right now almost as a pro bono on our system because they really see that this is really valuable and they'll be using it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's definitely you're seeing a lot more of that, which is fantastic. It's exactly what you want to see, isn't it? It's not so much about the money, but about being a part of the movement and getting involved and really helping push things further forward, which is cool. Can you talk us a little bit through the tokenomics of BePro?
Sure. So we set up the tokenomics early 2019 when we were doing our ICO private sale. Was mostly clients and current users of the network. We tried to make it as standard as possible at the time. So the tokenomics in terms of the total value, I think it's 10 billion BePro. We have 18 decimals. It's a ERC20 token in Ethereum. Right now we are working in other blockchains also to have our token there because we'll be having other clients there, and the token will be used for this network ecosystem as we're talking about. Then the distribution, I mean, it's very straightforward. We have an amount for the company, given costs, grants, everything that we're doing, development, marketing, everything that has to do with putting our project in the best way possible. Team, we also have a percentage for the team. If I'm not wrong, I think it's 21%. The company, if I'm not wrong, is 35. And then we have everything that has to do with private sale investors, a small token sale that we did in 𝗕𝗃 back in the day when 𝗕𝗃 wasn't that big, but they are amazing guys and their technology is definitely has improved, which I congratulate them for it. I mean, the full values, and sorry for my side, I don't know the finalized values in terms of percentage, but everything is on our blog. Everyone can see it. It's at BePro Network. Everything that has to do with tokenomics, everything token side oriented, it's there, and everyone can take a look with calm and with all the information necessary.
Fantastic.
Super. And I guess, we've got a lot of people that obviously invest in cryptocurrency and different projects, but what sets BePro apart from other projects in the space?
So I would say from the side of the technology, there is very few projects that I would look at and say, okay, these guys are trying to build something close to what we are. I'd say the most close one in terms of the motto of the company probably is Gitcoin. I would say if not Gitcoin, there was another project that was launched not long ago, which is basically a GitHub competitor, but they have their own token, and it's basically a decentralized, fully development, which is also a great idea. But I would say that's a bigger spectrum, and they have to fight against the big guys, which is a very noble decision. And I would say besides that, in terms of motto, it's very difficult for me to point to some. I would say Gitcoin is a very good example. But in terms of the reason why we are doing this, I mean, it comes from Bitcoin to Ethereum to Chainlink to Compound Finance or Origin protocol, which I don't know if the Origin guys know, but I also did some pull requests on the Origin protocol back in the day because they had that open. And I understood very early that as a developer, if you have a good set of developers, not only the team, and all these projects, as you see, were not made just by the core team. You had the core team, but you also had an external I don't know, like it probably was bigger even than the core team, like 3x the amount of the core team was outside developers that were contributing, and you can see it on GitHub, everyone can see it. And that for me made me shed some light, which is if we find something that people want, and if we find a moment to position ourselves, we might be able to do something for Web3 that I think will help not only myself as a designer and as a React developer and as a front-end developer, but everyone that wants to do something on the blockchain, like create a competitor for OpenSea, create a competitor for SuperRare, like create a competitor for Compound Finance, everything that has to do with that, PancakeSwap, Uniswap. If there's an easy way to set up that, because Uniswap, of course, would not want more competitors, our idea is to make that easy because the code is public, everything is public. Why not create the JavaScript frameworks and everything just to make it easier?
That sounds great.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It makes a lot of sense. And can you talk us through maybe some of the partnerships that you have, or any planned future kind of partnerships that you, or people you would like to work with and things like that?
Yeah, sure. I would say start from the last one. My models in terms of how to do stuff is the Lester from the Compound Finance team. And I would say the guy that created Uniswap. I don't remember the name, but that's a very good example of how to do things. Like 0x protocol was starting at the time. They had a lot of money, a lot of developers, and the kid from New York City outsmarted them and built something that people wanted to use instead of what they did. And they had a lot of stuff. They had Paradox, they had something. They had their own B2C sites. And that goes to show that people want to use good technology, but they also want to have a very good framework and very easy to understand framework on how to use Ethereum, on how to use their tokens, et cetera, et cetera. And that showed me that in terms of not partnerships, but people that I look up to, it's these two projects in terms of what we're trying to do. Of course, Ethereum, the Bitcoin, Tron, other blockchains in terms of use, of course, they have use, and that's amazing. But in terms of building technology on smart contracts for people to use inside these blockchains, I would say these guys are the ones that I look forward in terms of what to do, and are kind of the reason why also I'm doing this. And in terms of partnerships, I mean, we have something on the line for these next weeks in terms of not only marketing, but operators, developers, people that we're working with in terms of also technology. We decided and we tried to not do partnerships just for the buzz. We really try to make things that show value for the community, and that's something that we really rely on.
Fantastic. Super. Yeah, no, I totally do align with that. It's sometimes there are partnerships just for the sake of partnering up, right? Yeah. Rather than a strategic value to the community and stuff. So yeah, really, it's a good answer. I like that.
Super. And I guess what do you feel is the biggest achievement so far for yourself, the team, BePro?
Well, the biggest achievement I would say was for the last 2 weeks. We launched the alpha version because, as you guys know, we're launching the network, which is an interface for developers and operators to lock their BePro, use their BePro to validate pull requests, to validate merges, to approve issues for operators, to pay for the bounties, et cetera, et cetera. And our idea was to launch the alpha until there. And I wasn't expecting the alpha to go so well. We have over 10 contributors on GitHub of 2 weeks, like quality code. People that are doing this because they believe on the project, and we have over 300 people on our developer community. Of course, some of them are just to see and to look of what we're doing, but it's very good to understand that people really care, and we have amazing developers there. And not only that, operators and people that I'm getting on Twitter, like messaging me like, oh, I'm using your you guys GitHub and documentation on Better Docs, and like what should I do here? And that's good because we're starting to see people using our technology, and that for me it's the thing that I care the most.
Fantastic. And I guess, where do you see BePro in 5 years from now? So
good question. I would say BePro for me would be a very good and very positive legacy if we were one of the go-tos for new developers in the area when they're searching for easy ways to build stuff in Web3 and Ethereum. Today in Binance Chain, in Moonbeam, Polkadot, but down the line we might go to Algorand, Elrond, all of these other blockchains, which are very different from what the Ethereum RPC is. But our goal is to position ourselves as that, as one of the go-to code bases for developers. We have OpenZeppelin, we have Gnosis. We want to position BePro on that spectrum.
Sounds amazing. And those are the list of questions that were kind of posed to us from our community and stuff. But is there anything else that you would like to leave, the audience with today?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that one of the things that we are getting a lot of, and I think there's a lot more in this space, for example, in this audience that might be relevant for them to get access to. It's our developer community is growing. We are getting more and more people. One of the things that our early contributors and early developers will get is easy access to grants, because BePro will start to give grants beginning of next year. And one of the things that might be relevant for them is to already catch the train and see what we're doing. So if anyone is there that wants to start trying the developer community at BePro, there's a lot of stuff to gain on the long run.
And that sounds fantastic. We're seeing this an awful lot with grants and stuff from projects, and I think that's really great to get people involved. Just another question from myself, just around, what's your thoughts on, somebody that's completely, they don't do any coding. What advice would you give to somebody that really is interested in blockchain, wants to get involved, but where do they look to sort of start learning to code and that sort of stuff? Because I imagine there's quite a few people, right?
Yeah. So if you have no idea, for example, if someone, and I'll give you an example without saying their name. So if there is an entrepreneur with no access to development or development tools or developers in this case, I would say that you can divide it in two phases. If you want to build a B2C app, let's put compound finance as an example, just for the simplicity of it. Not simplicity of technology, because it's very complex, but the simplicity of the distribution of the components. So on one side, you have all the backend infrastructure, which is the Ethereum side, just for the sake of compound finance. And for that, everything that has to do with Web3, you can rely on BePro as the code base. We have a lot of stuff. We're also creating custom templates for other clients, which you can reuse later. So if you see one client of ours that works really well, you can just use that and build your version or connect to their own backend, which is very easy. So we are creating literally a network, and that's why the name, because the new incumbents, people that are coming into the network, they can leverage a lot of stuff already done, and this will grow and grow and grow every day. So the backend side, BePro can take care of that, and it's basically zero cost because the code is free to use, to create as a cost in BePro, but once it's there, it's free to use. Then on the other side, you have the front end. I would recommend everyone to look at Dribbble or any other similar apps. Dribbble.com with 3V. Basically, you get access to a huge bunch of designers and development houses where you can ping them and they can build your front end. Since our technology is under an NPM package for JavaScript, and you have a full documentation, very extensive on it, and we have also a customer support line, which we're trying to get better at. It will be very easy for anyone to integrate our stuff. And I mean, I don't know, but you might be able to build something like compound finance for 30K in a matter of 1 year.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to have you on the show, and we'll have to catch up again later down the line, see where everything is kind of lands later on, and it would be fantastic to have you back on the show to talk about any recent updates and things like that. So I really do appreciate taking your time out of your diary to join us this evening. And with that said, we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for the invite.
And that was Rui from BePro. Fantastic to have him here answering all those fantastic questions all around BePro and what they are up to over there. If you found this video useful and informative, do hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And if you happen to be new here to the channel, we want to stay up to date with those new cryptocurrencies and those hidden gems, then why not consider subscribing to the channel? By becoming a subscriber, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything. It is free. You'll stay well informed, so why not? And Chris, anything else you would add before we sign this video off?
No, nothing from me.
Fantastic. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, take care.